Brutal winter blasts are on the way, and yeah, I said plural. We're talking about some serious cold and more snow on the way. Hi, everybody. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Justice. Just how cold are we talking about? I'm talking sub-zero temperatures with the wind chill value being even lower than that, because when these storms roll through, they come with a lot of wind, especially toward the end of this week, where those temperatures are going to be minus 10, minus 20 degrees, and then you factor in the wind, it is going to be so brutal, and that does come with a little bit of snow. Hi, everybody. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Justice. Please let me know where in the world you're watching from right now. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those notifications. My whole deal, folks, is I provide you early warning of significant weather. And in this case, we've got a brutal blast of winter ahead for so many of us, where no matter whether you see snow or not, it is going to be cold from Maine to Florida. And I've got the new timing of that we need to look closer at as we move on forward here. So let's look closer at the pattern ahead. You see above me, there may be a taste of some warmer weather on for some in the southeast in days 8 through 14. We're talking the 17th, 18th, 19th, somewhere in that realm. But until then, we've got at least one more cold blast, maybe two, to get through. So tonight may, in fact, be the coldest night of the year so far for so many. Look at some in the northeast, dipping down below zero. It is going to be a mighty cold night taking shape across the eastern half of the United States. 26 to 20 in western North Carolina. We've got below freezing temperatures, but with the clouds hanging on, tomorrow temperatures just do not want to budge. There's a wedge of some clouds in here across the Piedmont of North Carolina from Charlotte down I-85 into Greenville and Spartanburg up through Asheville that could stay in the upper 30s through a good bit of tomorrow. Now, we do seem to rebound temperatures, or at least not be as cold on Wednesday, but that's when our next storm system's taking shape back toward the Midwest. You see that come in through Wisconsin with minus 5, minus 6 degrees. Folks, that's nothing compared to where we are heading. As you can see here into Thursday, we've got single digits and teens all across the Midwest with 20s farther south. Now, that's the baby cold. That's the one that's kind of the precursor before the bigger one starts to take shape as we go into Friday, Saturday. You see that entering screen left right there. This is Saturday morning. Upper Midwest already dealing with this significant cold. Now, there's snow that'll come along with us, which I'll show you in just a moment. But northern Illinois, Chicago included in this, you're dropping sub-zero going into Saturday morning, Friday night into Saturday morning. Northern Indiana going into Ohio, we're talking just above zero for temperatures. By Sunday morning, it's spreading farther east. So Asheville, you may reach a high temperature Saturday night into Sunday morning at 12:01 a.m. And then it gets colder as the day goes on. Notice how Greenville, Spartanburg on Sunday morning in the low to mid 50s, then comes that cold front, and you're plummeting down from what will be a warm day into a big difference here. So the cold air hits the mountains, takes a while to get off and over the mountains, where you drive 45 minutes, temperatures could be almost feeling like 30 degrees different. That's as that cold polar air moves off toward the east, and by the time we get to Monday morning, we are all feeling it. We're talking sub-zero or near zero up near Snowshoe in West Virginia. You go toward lots of Indiana and Ohio, 1, 2, 3, 4 degrees. That's about it. Brutal cold here. Upstate New York into New Hampshire, Vermont, up through Maine, sub-zero temperatures locked in through Sunday night into Monday morning. Now, next week we stay cold up until we get to about the 18th, 19th time frame, where some 60s, maybe even pushing 70 degrees, start to show up here across the south. It does not look to be long lasting. Cold air wants to try to wind back out, but you see here, there's a 70 showing up in Alabama. Parts of Atlanta trying to get into close to 70 degrees. So, I mean, we're there. We're just not going to stay there. Here comes another cold blast by December 21st, 22nd. So, overall, I don't see us staying cold for very long. Now, let's zoom out, show you where snow is going to be. First, we have to look at the pattern here. Here's the upper level pattern as we get dips in the jet stream just continuing to pound the eastern half of the United States. Now, we look to level out after, say, the 15th. Whew, a breather for everybody but the extreme northeast. Most of the United States starts to moderate temperatures a little bit, and through at least the 18th, 19th, we may be okay. But here comes another one, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and that could be a doozy of a system, which, if the timing on the GFS were to be right, it's trying to play, Hallmark movie Christmas right here, where we got December 24th, a huge dip in the jet stream on the GFS, which is just everybody's dream that wants to see snow, right? Let's look at the European model's depiction of that. Jet stream just so active and dipping down. Here's our break. There's our break in the cold for many of us, the 16th, 17th, maybe 17th through the 18th, somewhere in that realm. Then we're right back to our old habits. Here comes another pronounced dip in the jet stream once that leaves. So yeah, we're right there in that wheelhouse. As far as snow is concerned, this is going to bring several rounds of snow to the Midwest here as we go throughout Wednesday, Thursday, Friday's time frame of this week. Several different systems bringing in the cold, bringing in the snow as well. And there's a concern tonight for parts of South Dakota, Iowa. I mean, we're talking about some serious wind coming in tonight with snow-packed ground. How about rain? Some of you need the rain. Florida's went from famine to feast here, several inches of rain, and now you look to dry out for a good bit. We see some rain returning December 18th, 19th for Florida, but it's not a lot. It's not a lot. All right, let's look closer at what's coming up this week because I do have concerns for tonight into tomorrow. Look at this wind coming in from this next system here toward the upper Midwest. That could be blowing around a lot of snow. And with snow already on the ground, there could be some pretty high drifts. And with that wind being stout, this is nothing to play around with tomorrow. By Wednesday, the first of two systems coming in. You see some snow beginning to break out in the upper Midwest into the Northeast. That would be through Wednesday night. Parts of western North Carolina and East Tennessee could also get a little brief hit of some snow. That's not the main event. That comes in later this week. Here we are with cold weather already in place, and here comes Saturday, Sunday's front, and that sprawling high pressure comes in and sinks down that cold air. All right, so let's look closer at the departure from normal, because as we look at the departure from normal, I mean, we get way colder than normal going into this weekend. Here it comes. You see those temperatures right there? That is minus 35 to minus 40 degrees below normal, and that spreads off toward the east. And in fact, we may be a little bit above normal going into Sunday across South Carolina and Georgia, but it doesn't last. Within a day, you're 20 to 25 degrees below normal. So again, if your normal high is 50, you're going to be in the 30s for highs, so on and so forth. Lows would be even colder than that. And as far as anomaly is concerned, the European wants to paint us getting above normal a couple of days here, going to the 20th, 21st, and then comes its next cold blast. So we'll see if it lasts or not. As far as wind is concerned, look at the wind gust swath here. There are some wind gusts back through Iowa, Missouri, into Illinois with snow-packed grounds tonight into tomorrow for your Tuesday, where that wind is going to be blowing around the snow, and we could have blizzard-like conditions. Even though the snow won't actually be falling quite yet, it will eventually, but it's going to blow around the snow that's already happening, and there could be some serious issues with travel into many parts of Iowa into parts of Illinois. As far as the wind is concerned, it does get very, very windy. With both of these systems coming in the next several days. 30, 40 mile per hour winds. Anytime you shift the temperatures around like we're going to be doing, it does cause some problems. So let's look closer at the snow and the temperature. Here's the 2-meter temperature from the GFS. We showed you the European a minute ago. It just keeps us blasting cold. It's a little bit earlier on the GFS model. More Saturday night, Sunday than Sunday night, Monday. As far as snow is concerned, let's just map this out for a second because you saw a couple of different dips. Here comes the first snow, upper Midwest going into Ohio. A little bit here happening on Wednesday. That's not a big one. These are kind of clipper type systems that just reinforce cold air. Here comes another quick hit of that Saturday system. So just enough for a little wintry mix, and then going into our Sunday, that pushes to the south. And let's just map out here because as you saw, the GFS was trying to play Santa here and keep things interesting around Christmas, bringing in a big dip in the jet stream right there. Could bring in this 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 24th, right in there. So, I mean, it's got a signal. Does it pan out? Probably not. The GFS, that's one run. But it is always interesting to see what they start doing with Christmas. Pattern is very active, folks. Nothing would surprise me with this type of a setup. Here we are, precipitation totals. European through the next 10 days. Some snow in the upper parts of North Carolina. I-40 corridor north. A little bit of rain with these systems, but not a lot. GFS. Got that snow that we had earlier today. A couple of quick hits here and there. Through Monday, so a week from now, we're going to have, 1 to 3 inches across Illinois, Indiana about 1 to 2 inches, Ohio 1 to 5 inches, getting into Pennsylvania, into the mountains here. We're talking about upwards of a foot of snow in 2 or 3 different systems here, with clipper systems kind of adding up 2 or 3 inches at a time. With western North Carolina already having had possibly 2 to 4 inches in Banner Elk, Boone, Beech Mountain, through the Raleigh corridor, we could get another quick dusting in some locations as some of these cold blasts do move on through. GFS ensembles keep the bulk of the snow. Nothing too drastically different in these models. GFS to the European, a couple of different shots of quick hitting snow. Again, they're 2 or 3 inches at a time in some locations, not all at once. European model keeps most of that action, northern Kentucky into Indiana and Ohio. As far as the Euro AI is concerned, let's see if it's got anything popping off that's anything crazy. Nothing southern, nothing more southern than I-40, which is typical for this time of the year. GFS, we showed you that interesting scenario there. And the global models, just trying to get a handle of what's going to happen. I want to leave you with this one right here. This is the precipitation probability of 1 inch or more over the next week. Pretty solid chance of an additional inch in the high country of North Carolina along I-40 northbound. As these different clipper systems come on in, they're going to be pumping in a lot of cold air into these areas that could make things a little bit more interesting. So simply put, some of the most brutal cold air that we've had so far this season happening right now. I'll say that again later this week as a second system brings in the coldest air we've had so far to that point. So within a week's time frame, 2 of the coldest blasts that we've had so far, which again, where I'm living, we're top 3 coldest in the history books here for the start of December. Greenville, Spartanburg International Airport. You go cherry pick some different cities, Raleigh, Charlotte, Atlanta, Nashville. I mean, all right there in the top 10 to this date. We're 8-9 days into December so far whenever you're watching this, and I just don't see us warming up. So we're continuing to get that. Now, we have had, including 2022, brutal cold temperatures right before Christmas. So as we get deeper into Christmas, the numbers start adding up. But so far, we're having one of the coldest starts to December we've ever had, if not the coldest in many areas. So folks, again, if you like this transparent look at what's coming your way, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and welcome aboard, as I do like to answer your questions. So at the end of every video, I like to leave an opportunity for you to ask me some questions, to give your town a shout out, so that we can keep this conversation going. So please let me know if you have any direct questions about snow for your town, weather for your town. Maybe you got some business or some plans you're trying to do. Let us help you out, and we will keep you posted, folks, with more updates tracking these storms as they roll on through.